Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating history of the 1961 United States Jefferson Nickel, also known as the 5-cent coin. At first glance, this coin might look like an ordinary piece of change, but coin collectors know it has a story worth telling. So, grab your magnifying glass, because we're about to explore its design, history, rarity, and current value in the world of numismatics. Historical background: the Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The U.S. Mint wanted a new design that would honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The chosen design came from artist Felix Schlag, who depicted Jefferson on the obverse, or front, and Jefferson's home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1961. The Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for more than 2 decades, and it had become one of the most widely used coins in American commerce. Design features of the 1961 Jefferson nickel obverse. Jefferson's portrait. The front of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. You can see the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," to the left, "Liberty," with the year 1961 to the right, and Jefferson's profile dominating the center. Reverse, Monticello. The reverse shows Jefferson's Virginia estate, Monticello. Above the building is the word "e pluribus unum," Latin for out of many, one. Below it, you'll see the inscriptions, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. The design remained mostly unchanged from 1938 until 2004, making the 1961 nickel part of that long-running series. Composition. Now here's something important. Many people think older nickels are silver, but that's not the case for the 1961 version. The 1961 Jefferson nickel is made of 75% copper, 25% nickel. It weighs 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. Only Jefferson nickels minted during World War II, 1942 to 1945, contained silver, due to wartime metal shortages. The 1961 coin does not contain silver. Mintage and mint marks. The 1961 Jefferson nickel was struck at 2 U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D mint mark on the reverse. To the right of Monticello, the mintage numbers were quite high. Philadelphia, 76,668,244 coins. Denver, 229,342,760 coins. That's over 300 million nickels minted in 1961, which means this coin is not rare in circulation. However, some varieties and conditions can make it valuable. Varieties and errors. Collectors always keep an eye out for special varieties. Some notable ones for the 1961 Jefferson nickel include 1961 D over mint mark, D over horizontal D. This variety shows a mint mark that was repunched, making it highly collectible. Full steps designation. On the reverse of the coin, Monticello has steps. If a coin shows all 6 steps clearly, it earns the full steps designation, which greatly increases its value. These varieties are much harder to find, especially in high grade, and that's what makes them attractive to collectors. Value of the 1961 Jefferson nickel. Now let's talk money. For circulated 1961 nickels, the value is usually just face value, 5 cents. But condition and rarity make all the difference. Circulated condition, worth 5 to 15 cents. Uncirculated condition, MS 60 to MS 65, can range from $1 to $20. High grades with full steps, these are much rarer and can be worth $500 to over $5,000, depending on the mint and condition. For example, in 1961, D nickel with full steps in gem condition once sold for over $10,000 at auction. So, while most 1961 nickels are common pocket change, a perfectly preserved coin with sharp details could be worth a small fortune. Collectability. The 1961 Jefferson nickel holds a special place in U.S. coinage history because it comes from the early 1960s, just before America experienced major coinage changes in 1965, when silver was removed from dimes and quarters. Collectors often include the 1961 issue when building a complete Jefferson nickel set, which spans from 1938 all the way to modern times. The hunt for varieties like the D over D mint mark keeps collectors excited. Fun facts: the Jefferson nickel is one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The designer Felix Schlag originally drew Monticello at a different angle, but the mint required him to use the straight-on view we see today. If you look closely at older nickels, you might notice weak strikes, especially on Monticello's steps. That's why the full steps designation is so highly prized. So, what makes the 1961 Jefferson nickel interesting? While it's not made of silver and most examples are common, it carries the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, American history, and the artistry of Felix Schlag. For everyday collectors, it's an affordable coin to own, but for those lucky enough to find rare varieties in pristine condition, it could be a treasure worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Next video. Today, we're diving into the story of the 1963 Jefferson 5-cent coin from the United States of America, a coin that collectors often ask about, but before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss a video about rare and collectible coins. The history of the Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel has been part of American coinage since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It was designed by Felix Schlag, a German-born sculptor who won the U.S. Mint's design competition. The coin honors Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, who served from 1801 to 1809. Jefferson was not only a founding father but also the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse of the coin features Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, symbolizing his legacy as a statesman, philosopher, and architect. Now, when it comes to the 1963 Jefferson nickel, it sits at an interesting point in American coinage history. Many people wonder if it was made of silver, but the truth is a little different. Was the 1963 Jefferson nickel made of silver? Here's the important detail: the 1963 Jefferson nickel was not made of silver. It was struck in the standard composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The confusion comes from the wartime nickels minted between 1942 and 1945. During World War II, the U.S. Mint used a special composition of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese to save nickel for the war effort. Those coins are sometimes called silver nickels. But by 1946, the Mint returned to the normal copper-nickel alloy. So, the 1963 coin you hold in your hand is not silver, but it still carries historical and collectible value. Mintage and production. The 1963 Jefferson nickel was minted in huge numbers, making it one of the more common nickels of the era. Here are the official mintages: 1963 Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, over 175 million coins. 1963 Denver Mint, around 276 million coins. That means more than 451 million nickels were struck in 1963 alone. Because of this massive production, most 1963 nickels are not rare in circulated condition. The design obverse, front features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, facing left, the inscriptions read, "In God We Trust, Liberty, and the year 1963." Reverse, back shows Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home. The inscriptions include E Pluribus Unum at the top, Monticello in the center, 5 cents at the bottom, and United States of America. This design remained largely unchanged from 1938 until the early 2000s, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coin history. Collectible value of the 1963 Jefferson nickel. Now, let's get to the most exciting part. How much is the 1963 Jefferson nickel worth today? Circulated condition. Most 1963 nickels found in pocket change are worth 5 to 10 cents, because they were minted in huge numbers. Circulated examples are very common. Uncirculated condition, mint state. A 1963 nickel in mint state 60, MS 60, can fetch about $1 to $2. Higher grades like MS 65, gem uncirculated, can be worth $10 to $25. Coins with very sharp details and no scratches can bring even higher prices. Proof coins. The U.S. Mint also struck proof nickels in 1963 at the Philadelphia Mint. These coins were specially made for collectors, with sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. A 1963 proof Jefferson nickel can be worth $5 to $20, depending on condition. Full steps variety. Collectors pay special attention to the steps on Monticello's staircase on the reverse. If a 1963 nickel has fully visible steps, known as full steps, its value jumps significantly. In 1963, D with full steps can sell for hundreds of dollars in high grade. Rare examples in MS 67 full steps have sold for over $2,000 at auction. Why collect the 1963 Jefferson nickel? Even though it isn't silver, the 1963 Jefferson nickel holds a special place in U.S. coinage. Point 1. Historical connection, it connects us to Thomas Jefferson, a key figure in American history. Point 2. Cold War-era coin, minted in the early 1960s, during a tense period of American history, just before the Kennedy assassination and major cultural changes. Point 3. Affordable for beginners, with millions available, it's a perfect starting point for new collectors. Point 4. Rare varieties, the hunt for full steps nickels adds excitement for advanced collectors. Record auction sales. Here are some record prices paid for the 1963 nickel. In 1963, the MS-67 full steps sold for over $3,000 at heritage auctions. A 1963 proof nickel with deep cameo contrast brought in over $1,000. These high prices show that even a common coin can be valuable when preserved in pristine condition. So, the 1963 Jefferson nickel is not made of silver, but it's still a coin worth knowing about. In circulated condition, it's usually worth only a few cents, but in uncirculated, proof, or full steps varieties, it can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars, whether you're a beginner just starting your collection, or an advanced collector looking for high-grade rarities. The 1963 nickel offers something for everyone. Next video. Today, we are diving into the fascinating history of the 1994 United States 5-cent Jefferson nickel, a coin that holds a special place in the pockets of millions of Americans and in the hearts of collectors around the world. While often considered just small change, this coin is filled with history, artistry, and hidden value that may surprise you. So sit back, and let's explore the story, design, and collectible worth of the 1994 Jefferson nickel. Part 1. The origins of the Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel first appeared in 1938, replacing the beloved Buffalo nickel. Why was this change made? By the mid-1930s, the Buffalo nickel had become difficult to mint because its design wore down quickly in circulation. The U.S. Mint decided to hold a competition to design a new 5-cent coin. The winning design came from Felix Schlag, a German-born American sculptor. Schlag's work featured a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. On the reverse, he placed Jefferson's home, Monticello, a neoclassical mansion in Virginia that symbolized Jefferson's vision of America. This design became iconic, and it remained largely unchanged for decades. Part 2, the 1994 nickel, a snapshot in time. The year 1994 was not a major anniversary for the Jefferson nickel, but it was an important year in U.S. coinage history. Here's what you need to know about the 1994 issue. Obverse, front features Jefferson facing left, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1994. Reverse, back shows Monticello with the words, E pluribus unum, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. Metal composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel, not silver, despite some collectors mistakenly calling it silver. Mint marks, coins were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, for proofs, even though it wasn't silver. The nickel is sometimes confused with special wartime nickels made between 1942 to 1945, which did contain silver. Part 3, Mintage numbers and rarity. Now, how many of these nickels were made in 1994? Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, around 722 million nickels; Denver Mint, D, about 809 million nickels; San Francisco Mint, S, over 2.7 million proof coins, struck especially for collectors, with more than 1.5 billion nickels minted that year. The 1994 Jefferson nickel is far from rare. You probably still have a chance to find one in your pocket change today, but rarity is not always the only factor in collectible value. Condition matters a lot. Part 4, Collectible value. So, what is a 1994 Jefferson nickel worth today? Circulated condition. Most 1994 nickels you find in everyday change are worth only 5 cents. Face value, uncirculated condition, MS-60, MS-65. These can range between 25 cents to $2. High-grade examples, MS-67 and above. Now we're talking about real collector value. At this level, a sharp strike with no scratches or wear can fetch between $50 and $200 depending on the market. Proof coins, San Francisco S mint mark proof nickels, with their mirror-like finish, are typically worth between $2 and $5, but in perfect condition, some graded pieces can sell for much higher, and here's a fun fact: the 1994 Jefferson nickel in MS68 condition is extremely rare and has sold at auctions for over $1,000. So while most 1994 nickels are common pocket change, the highest quality examples can bring serious money. Part 5: Why collect the Jefferson nickel? Some collectors overlook nickels, focusing instead on silver dimes, quarters, or half dollars. But the Jefferson Nickel series is one of the most affordable and fun sets to collect. Here's why. 1. Long history: it has been in circulation since 1938, giving collectors over 85 years of material. 2. Design consistency: the Monticello reverse makes it a visually unified series. 3. Wartime silver nickels: between 1942 to 1945, special silver nickels add extra interest to the set. 4. Affordable collecting: unlike gold or silver coins, Jefferson nickels are inexpensive, making them accessible for beginners. For many collectors, finding a high-grade coin like the 1994 nickel in pristine condition is a rewarding hunt. Part 6: The legacy of the 1994 nickel. The 1994 Jefferson nickel represents a bridge between the classic coinage of the 20th century and the modern era. Just over a decade later, in 2004 and 2005, the U.S. Mint issued the Westward Journey nickels to honor the Lewis and Clark expedition, temporarily changing the design. Then, in 2006, a new portrait of Jefferson replaced the classic design. That means the 1994 nickel belongs to the last generation of classic Jefferson nickels that collectors know and love. Conclusion: a coin worth remembering. So, is the 1994 Jefferson nickel a rare silver treasure? Not exactly. Most of them are still worth face value. But in pristine condition, especially from proof sets or in top-graded examples, this small coin can carry big value. More importantly, the 1994 nickel is a reminder of Jefferson's lasting influence on American history, and of how even the smallest coins in our change can hold a story worth telling. So next time you spot a 1994 Jefferson nickel, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. You might just be holding a tiny piece of history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of the 1994 Jefferson nickel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with other coin lovers.